I'm Thomas Mai.
And I'm Zancy Weber.
The Craving Creativity podcast is our cry for help. A way to help ourselves as creatives to talk about how we get inspired, how we create, but also how we deal with stress, mental illness, and everything in between.
Now, if you're creative, you, like us, have most likely always been seen as the black sheep of your family and always making different choices than what 90% of normal people might do. Not going for the safe choice, but always living a little on the edge.
With the Craving Creativity podcast, it is our hope to create a safe space where we can talk about being creative. We want to build a community of like-minded creatives and help each other. Subscribe, email us, and be part of the creative journey. This is Craving Creativity, episode 20. My name is Thomas Mai, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host,
Zancy Weber.
And this is the podcast where we talk about being creative and still try to fit into a normal life. And I say that normal in parentheses, because this is a podcast where we discuss about the challenges of being creative and trying to fit into a regular life where you have bills to pay.
Yep.
And it's something you and I have been talking about for a while. And now we're up at episode 20, which is pretty impressive. So
episode 20.
Yeah.
That's almost half a year.
Wow.
That's almost 6 months.
It is. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good. And today's topic is needing and being a mentor. And you came up with it. And I think this is absolutely a great topic idea.
Yeah. This is something that I find myself falling into over and over again.
Yeah.
I really enjoy being a mentor to people who want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I've never gone out and said, I want to be a mentor.
No.
Approach me, please. It's always been through friendships that I get to know people, and then they come to me for advice. And we kind of form this relationship of like me helping them through their creative pursuits.
Yeah.
As a jack of all trades, like I have my fingers in a lot of different pies. So I have been in a position in the past, like make connections and talk to people through things and kind of help them develop their own creative muscles. And I also find that as a student, I am someone who learns best from a mentor, someone who I can go and ask very specific questions and specific processes through. So that's why I wanted to talk about it, because at some point in my life, I've both been a mentor and had a mentor, whether it's been an official, like, you are my mentor, help me do this thing.
Yeah.
Or it's just been like, look, I have this problem. Can we just get through it? And learned that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or I see being a mentor as having access to someone who can tell you the mistakes that they've made so that you don't walk the same path.
Exactly. Or come to for advice, right? Or just being a role model, or being someone who has paved the way so it's easier for you to go to the next one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've used the expression before, standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
That someone has come before of who's done things that enable us to do what we do now. And recognizing that and paying, we had an episode on homage on that.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So in your life, have you ever had a mentor?
Oh, yes, I've had several. And actually, I want to talk about some of them I've spoken about before, but and that's coming up in our top 3 list that we do. But yes, I've had lots of mentors. And I think it's such an important part and role to have someone you can look up to. And someone, even when you're an older person, it can be someone who's still alive, or it's someone who has lived before. What were their ideals? What were their visuals? What were was their outlook on life? What were their morals? What were their ethics? I mean, you can model yourself on someone else who's currently alive or dead.
Absolutely.
And you can be inspired by that. I think mentorship is extremely important. And I have mentored also a lot of people. As some of you know who's listening to this, I used to be in the film business, and I've had several jobs and have many assistants. And I'm proud to say that many of the assistants that I work with now have amazing jobs in the film industry. Yeah. Some of them even have very, very big jobs in Hollywood and have gone on to some amazing careers. So I don't want to take full credit for them because they were very qualified human beings, but I hope I inspired something in them and moved something in them, just like I was inspired by my mentors. I think it's this give and take. Where I have a little bit of trouble with it is, I think I mentioned this before, is the film business. People expect you to do a lot of stuff for free all the time. Yeah. And you can quickly get...
I think that's creative businesses everywhere.
And you can quickly get sucked into doing a lot. And I try to help. I used to go to a lot of film festivals. There was always these panels. I've been on literally hundreds of them, and sitting there and trying to dole out some advice on film sales, distribution, production, whatever it might be, crowdfunding. But I think it's important to have someone who has done it before.
Yeah.
There's a story about, what's the film called? I'm blanking. Maybe you can come up with it. But the story about the first mile being run out under 4 minutes.
I do not have
You don't know
the
what-
data for that. Running movies are not my my go-to.
I remember that Vangelis, the amazing composer, did an amazing soundtrack with some very famous music.
Oh, was it Chariots of Fire?
Yeah, see, there
we
you
go.
go. You were
I
already
did.
there. You did. No, it rang a bell. But anyway, it took mankind thousands of years to have someone run a mile in under 4 minutes.
Yep.
As soon as that person did it, the year after 54 people did it. It might have been 23. I'm just throwing numbers out here. Don't worry, I'll fact check this. I'll put in the links in the show notes. But whether it's 23 or 54, it doesn't matter. The point is that one proved the way that you can get it done. It is possible, because up until that point, everybody believed it was impossible. If something is impossible, then you can't do it. But this guy broke the magic 1
Yeah.
mile under 4 minutes. And the year after, a lot of people did it because he can do it, I can do
Yeah.
it too. So I think it's down
They
to
know that it's possible,
Exactly.
and therefore they
it's a
achieve
belief
it.
system. Now it's
Yeah.
possible, because before it was impossible. And I think that the mentorship role is such an important capacity in our life. And I sometimes talk about my daughter, and I'm sorry if that annoys people, but in my daughter's school, when they go to kindy, someone from year 5, they'll get a buddy.
Oh, okay.
So, and then that buddy they will always have that buddy. So by the time my daughter gets to year 5, she will then be buddy with someone in kindy.
Yeah.
And for my daughter to have this girl who is 5-6 years older than her in school is like, oh, I saw my buddy today, or I spoke to my buddy today. It's a big thing. And then the school arranges these meetings once in a while. It's just because she can look up to her. Because
Yeah.
physically she is, of course, taller than her, right? But also she's done this. She's been where I've been. She's gone through this journey, and I can go through this journey. And I think it's very important. And it's a very simple thing, but mentorship is extremely important. So I'm really glad you brought up this topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've also found that through the process of being someone else's mentor, it's a great way to expand your knowledge and codify how you have done things, what has worked,
Yes.
what hasn't worked.
Yes.
In the process of passing on that knowledge,
Yes.
it makes you examine how you have approached your
Yes.
creative
Yeah.
output,
Yeah.
and how you would do it if you did it again. Because again, it is one thing to say, I'm going to write a book, but it's another thing to go like, okay, what do I need to do to write a book?
Yeah.
Do I just jump in and
Yeah.
never edit? Or, and so that's the thing. I think definitely approaching someone who has attempted it or
Yeah.
has done it, that you trust, and you trust their opinion,
Exactly.
is a great way to go about learning.
Yeah.
And having someone do that, come to you, is a great way for you to learn about your own process.
Exactly.
But I think I just touched on there, the most important thing about mentorship is trust. Because especially mentorship in a business sense, if you're going after someone as a business mentor, it is very easy for someone to approach you and go, I would love to be your mentor. I have this service and this service and this service that you can be above and beyond as a mentor, that you can purchase from me. It's very easy to be taken advantage of in that situation. So that's most of my relationships, my mentor relationships have formed from friendships rather than I would like you to be my mentor. Yes, I will be your mentor. And that being the start of the relationship, it's definitely been more of an organic thing. What's your experience been with like starting those relationships?
I think in the film industry, it's more about what a person has done previously.
Right.
And so how they've paved the way or done things in that capacity. And so you are asked, for instance, there's this film festival in India every year. I help them. It's an online film festival, so I don't have to travel. I'm not saying I don't want to travel, but right now the world is not a good place to travel, right? And we are not allowed to travel. They haven't been so for a long time. So I go in and run some panels, and then I speak to someone one-on-one with them afterwards, and I don't get paid or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's for them. It's a way to have someone from the outside come with some feedback, because obviously the Indian film industry is much different than the Western film industry. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm not saying the Western film industry is better than the Indian film festival, vice versa. But I can come with my knowledge on what I think they should do and shouldn't do, and have some choices. So I try to help with that. I've done a lot of other film festivals, and I used to travel a lot, went to film festivals all the time, but now it's after I got a kid, it's less. I'm doing it less, and so I think when you have an assistant, or if you have someone who you work with, I think it's especially if you're the boss, to inspire them, to move them, to motivate them. And making my first film, I learned that if you can get everyone to understand we're all in the same boat, and the harbor is over there, right? This is the direction we got to go. We all got to row the same time, or we're all going to put the sails up. But we can all build a narrative, a story up about, if we can all get this boat over here, everyone will be better off it. So it's about getting everybody to row in the same direction. And why are we doing this? I think I'm talking different levels here, but I that's what I like to do when I'm mentoring someone, or I work with someone on a day-to-day basis, because I hope I inspire them. Because for me, being inspired is the most important thing that one can be.
Is there something that you would like a mentor for right now? Like, is there something that you are feeling like you want some direction?
Yeah, I think so. It would be nice to have some mentors, absolutely, and in one of my current endeavor right now. But here's the thing, everything, I don't know if you opened YouTube or Facebook lately, but you get bombarded with expert advice, people selling you courses, right? And it's 2,000 here, 5,000 there, 10,000 there. And I wouldn't say it's mentorship, but they give you a blueprint of how to do certain things. And whether you're into anything, whether it's how to run Facebook ads, or build a new web page, or sell books, or sell coffee mugs, whatever it is, there's a plethora out there. Right now I would like to get a mentor. Actually, that's a good point. Yeah.
What specific, I guess, topic, or like what specific area do you want your mentor to be in? Or just someone who is more connected in business, or someone who is more creative? Or
I think more business. I think that's my challenge. It's not the creative. I definitely have that covered. I think check, done, well done. It's more about business. I think that's would be good to have someone.
I think that's similar to me. Is like I need someone to. I have lots of ideas of how to go about business networking, but I just want to know what's going to work. Yeah. And have someone to go like, okay, so this is the best way to go about it for you. And that is kind of what I'm looking for a mentor at the moment, is like how to connect with other people on a business sense. Like charisma wise, I can talk till the cows come home because I'm a podcaster. But like, how do you connect business to business? That is something I have very little idea about.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you know how to do it, get in contact. I would love to have a chat.
I think mentorship is it can be very short, it can be very long, right? So for instance, one of the other dads from school called me, right? And he was heading to work and I was heading to work. And then we started talking about how to, because he's running his own company, I run my own company, because you can sit and work from home, but then the missus or the wife want to do laundry and the dishwashing, and the kid is there and they want to play. And so so we were mentoring each other, I guess. So I was mentoring him on how I do it. And he's like, wow, that's a great idea. It's all about making that balance in it. And another father I spoke to today, he's having some marital problems, actually, being divorced, and it's very nasty and all that stuff. But then again, I mentor him a little bit, and then I said to them, plus another guy, let's go out and have some beers one night. And so the friendship, the camaraderie, but also have someone you can call to when you have a question, right? Yeah. And I think that is part of life, and that my advice could be horrible, but at least I give my perspective, and then they can come and then they can decide whether they want to do this or not. But I'll definitely tell them what I think they should do. Yeah, whether they do that absolutely. Or not is good.
Like that, and that's a role that I find I fit in as well is I don't have a lot of ongoing mentees at the moment, but a lot of people will go like, hey, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Can you read over it? Can
Yeah.
you let me know what you would do?
Yeah.
And a lot of those people have been ongoing over the last couple of years because I've kind of focused more on podcasting than all of my other creative outputs. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at the moment. And that's somewhere I really enjoy being as well. That's honestly why I started the network, because when I started my podcast, my first podcast, I wanted a mentor to tell me how to do it.
Yeah.
And they just didn't exist. So I learned how to do it.
Oh, you didn't know them. You didn't know who they were or if they were here.
There are a lot of podcasting guides and things on the internet now. There were not back then.
Got it.
So I had to learn how to do it. I had to figure it out myself. And then I started the network in order to help other people on that path themselves.
Yeah.
And that's been great for me. That's a position that I really enjoy. For top threes, this week, it's a bit of a weird one. I said top 3 times you've learned from someone else's mistake.
Yes, but you still want it to be about mentoring, so that's why.
Yeah. So usually this would be a personal thing where you've kind of like, okay, someone's done that, and that's where I am.
Okay.
That's what I'm avoiding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you have as your first one?
Okay, so my first one, I'm not going to mention any names here.
Okay.
Because I don't want to throw anyone under the bus.
Got it.
But I was involved with a theater production.
Yeah.
I was cast in it.
Okay. So you had to be on stage.
So I was on stage as not one of the main leads, but I was on stage for 80% of the show.
Wow.
And on top of that, I was basically brought in to help with marketing and to help stage the show. It was a first-time director, and so he was. And I would never direct. I'd never directed a musical before.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I want to learn. Let's see what we can do here. And basically, he did nothing right.
Okay.
And so that was really like, while we had this technically mentor-mentee relationship, I was just like, okay, what you're doing is not working and you're refusing to acknowledge that it's not working. So that is kind of where I learned from, like, okay, my mentor is teaching me what not to do rather than what to do.
Yeah.
Because when I would ask him questions, he would not know the answer. I was like, well, it can either be this, this, or this.
Yeah.
Which do you think it is? And he would not know. I'm like, okay, so in the act of being a mentor, I taught myself.
Yes, I understand.
How to do it, because I'm trying to pass his decisions.
Yes.
Trying to learn how to make my own decisions. Yeah.
I think that, speaking to directors and little sites, get a little off track here, but directors have to have a lot of certainty.
Yeah.
They have to have a lot of certainty. So no matter what they say and do now, they might be wrong, but they know what direction they're going in. They know which way they're pulling. They know which way they're rowing, right?
And that is the biggest thing I learned from him, is like, if someone asks you a question, have an answer.
Exactly.
If it doesn't work, go, oh, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Do it the other way.
But at least you have a direction. That's where that's where the term director comes up. But you have a direction. People who have, if you are uncertain about things and you have zero certainty, you should not be a director. Trust me, because the pressure on you is going to be so insane. And we all have to know which direction you want to go in order to help you and support you.
Yeah.
And if you're all over the place, the film, the story, this play, the book, whatever it is also going to be all over the place, and nobody wants that.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there.
No, direction it's something that not everyone is built for.
No.
And I think that was the time when I discovered that, like, I do have the capacity to be a director, whereas not everyone does.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to definitely take into account if you want to be a director, that just wanting to be a director doesn't mean that you can be, or can be easily.
I think you can learn it, but you have to have such a grasp and such a mastery of the material.
Yeah.
And you know it inside out. You can be walking out at 3 o'clock in the morning and you know, it's like, do this, do that. That's the level you have to be a good director. If you don't have that, then it becomes a group thing. And again, oh man, too many chefs in the kitchen. It's just, you have to be so certain. You have to have certainty. It's a very important skill. And not everybody has that skill.
Yep. And that's what I learned from my first mentor.
I don't think you can learn certainty. I think you either have it or you don't. It's you can acquire it around you learning about what other people do and see what they do, but you still got to have some certainty yourself. That's just a little side story. Yeah. Sorry about that.
So what about you?
So I'm going to do the opposite of you. I think I am going to talk about my mentors because they have had such huge influence. And some of them I've spoken about before, but I just think that on a podcast about needing and being a mentor, I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't had these three mentors. And so the first one is a guy called Ib Tadini. This producer in Denmark who discovered me and who took me on this warm, embracing, amazing guy, has produced so many films. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I would be today. So I just want to go hats up to him. Thank you so much. And so this, for me, this podcast is about, dividing your knowledge and parting with your knowledge and help other people get to the knowledge you have, but also honoring those people before you. Again, standing on the shoulders of giants. And he paved the way, came out of the film boom in the 70s and 80s, and I got involved later on. So I just want to get hats off to him. I'll put a little link in the show notes. People want to find out about him, but I'll also write a little bit more detail about him. But he is an amazing man. So yeah.
Awesome. I want to talk about mentoring success that I had as a mentor. Yeah. I made friends with a 16-year-old gentleman who was in a show with me. Yeah. He was very well-spoken, a very turned-on musician. Yeah. And over the years, like he was his first musical that we were in together. We were in Avenue Q together. Yeah. And we kind of developed this relationship where he was going through projects and he would come to me for advice and how to deal with a project, how to pan out a project for feedback on projects that he had written and going forth. And now he's working on Broadway. Wow. Yeah. So he had a whole bunch of projects here in Brisbane, and then went over to America to kind of pay his dues, and now he's worked on Mean Girls, and he's touring with several shows at the moment as assistant musical director. Wow. And so he's also writing his own stuff. But so that's again, I'm not going to mention names just because people. Yeah. But so that is kind of something where I take a little bit of credit for encouraging that talent to keep going on with it, because he could have easily become a lawyer or a psychologist. He was that kind of person, and he was planning on studying that, but instead he went along creatively. And now is working.
Would you say that, I mean, the odds of succeeding is of course extremely small, but was he very driven?
He was very talented.
Yes.
Okay, to start with, he was very talented.
That helps a lot.
And he had a lot of creative drive. Yeah. But yes, he came from a very driven family, and I think that as he matured, as he got older, that drive kind of transferred onto his creativity as well.
Because if you do require talent, but you also requires you have a drive. You can't just sit there and wait for somebody to come and knock on the door. It's not going to happen. You got to go out there. And
that's the thing about having a mentor is like the mentor doesn't get credit for you. Yeah. They're there to help you gain your own credit. And that's the thing. I don't take any credit for what he's done or what he's doing, but I was part of that story, and that was really rewarding, because not only was he a good friend, but he does get to be a great example for other people that I can say, hey, if you really want to do this, it is possible. You just need to be talented and driven.
Wow. So good on him. Good. My second one is also a mentor of mine. I just want to go three people who've meant a lot to me. So Absolutely. This second guy is Peter Aalbæk Jensen, who is a very controversial figure in Denmark. Now, you might not have heard about him, but if you're Danish, you would know who he is. He's controversial because when the Me Too movement came out, he didn't get caught. He hasn't done anything. He hadn't. There was all these horrible examples of people who've done things where they definitely stepped over the line. He stepped over the line, not in sexual abuse, but he would just grab people, big friendly hogs and bears, throw them up on a table, make fun of them. He would definitely step over the line, and he's not PC, and he's a communist. You'd be happy to hear that. He was a communist, but he created one of the biggest production companies in Europe. Just him, all alone, with Lars von Trier. And he started that, and they went global very fast. And I played a small part of it because I was selling the dreams in the films and the TV shows in the sales company. But he went out and was just so different and just had a different attitude and towards life, and has a extremely charming man, extremely funny man, and he's still alive. So all of my mentors, but he just had such a profound effect on me and what one can do in life, what I cannot do in life. And I know he wanted me to stay and run part of the company that I did, but I needed to go out and see the world, and have done that since. And anyway, but I just want to big hats off to him. He's an amazing man, and just want to say thank you to him. So that's my
absolutely. Well, look, I'm going to take a leaf out of your book and go, I will name this person. So Miranda Selwood is a Brisbane theatre maker, also a very good friend of mine. But apart from business sense, Miranda more than anyone else kind of has helped me embrace theatre for the sake of theatre, or creativity for the sake of creativity. We've been involved in a lot of projects, usually driven by her, that are there just as a way for people to practice without any pressure. She is 100% the person behind the 24-hour musical project, which is a project that brings theatre makers together for this event. But even more so than that, we've produced shows together that are literally just, what do you want to do in a show? And what have you never been able to do in a show? And what will you never be allowed to do in a real show, in inverted commas? And let's do it. Let's put on a show, one night only. We get to do whatever we'll never be able to do, have some fun with it.
Awesome.
Who cares if there's a profit? And I think that has been the biggest step on my theatre journey, from just a performer to someone who's involved in the community and in creation of theatre, is that kind of, you don't have to be a slave to the system of how things are done. You can make your own way.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. I like that a lot.
So Miranda Selwood, thank you very much.
Well, there you go. If I just want to title note to Peter Olbeck, I was talking about Peter Olbeck Jensen, I was talking about before. He's done hundreds of feature films and just been involved in so much stuff, and it's just impressive what he's done. So just want to talk about that. The last one I want to talk about is Tony Robbins. Now, I met him once, I shook his hand once. He's very tall, he's a giant, and I came up with a story on a previous podcast about how my girlfriend at the time, worked for him and stuff like that. But the way to believe in yourself and be driven and get things done, and a lot of stuff I've learned from him, and so I'm eternally grateful for that, even though I did pay money to go to some of his courses and all that stuff, but he has been a huge influence for me. So I just want to say thank you for that. So awesome. I wouldn't be here today without, I'll say I wouldn't be here, but I would be a different man today if I hadn't had these three amazing mentors in my life. So if anybody's listening to this, I really hope that you find a mentor, you have a mentor, but also you become a mentor for other people. I think it's important that what we can do as human beings is to connect with one another, and sharing knowledge and sharing ideas and being creative about that is very inspiring and very moving. So, yeah.
And I think I'm going to show my crimson red insides here. The trend towards monetizing mentorship, in the sense of like you said, the YouTubes, the anything like where like, I will tell you how to do this for this amount of money. I think that is a step away from what I love about mentorship.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is that the human connection, and actually having someone think with you, rather than just like, I've done the thinking, here's the thinking. I think that collaborative sense is what I appreciate about the mentor relationship. Be a mentor. And as anyone's listening to this who wants to mentor me in business to business networking, this is the call out.
Absolutely. Please. There will be a link to the show notes, all the stuff we talked about. There'll be an email address, and you can just click that and send us an email. We get you in touch with Zane.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Zane. It's always a pleasure.
And keep being creative, everyone.
Absolutely. Thanks.